You know, we often think that to get massive results, we need to take massive action. But what if that's completely wrong? Today, we're jumping into a book that turns that idea on its head, James Clear's Atomic Habits. We're going to find out how the absolute smallest changes, these tiny 1% improvements, can actually lead to some pretty incredible, life-changing results. So yeah, let's dive right in.
I mean, does this sound familiar? You get super excited about a new goal. You're all in for a week, maybe two, and then, poof, you're right back where you started, stuck in the same old patterns. It's so frustrating, right? But here's the thing. What if the problem isn't actually you?
And that is the absolute core idea of this book. James Clear says, hey, the reason we fail over and over again, it's not because we don't have enough willpower or we don't want to change. Nope. The real problem is we're using the wrong system for change. And honestly, that's a total game changer because it takes the blame off of you and puts it right where it belongs, on your strategy.
Okay, so if the system is broken, how do we fix it? What's the new system? Well, it all starts with an idea that sounds so simple you might even think it's kind of weak. And that's the power of getting just 1% better.
All right, let's look at the math here, because this is where it gets wild. Improving by just 1%. It feels like nothing, right? You wouldn't even notice it day to day. But if you keep that up every single day for a year, that tiny effort compounds until you are, get this, 37 times better. Look at that curve just shooting up. And the flip side is just as powerful, but, well, not in a good way. Getting 1% worse every day pretty much wipes you out, bringing you down to almost zero. It's a crazy reminder that those little choices we make every day really, really matter.
And here's the perfect analogy for it. Think of your habits like compound interest for self-improvement. It's just like putting money in a savings account. A tiny deposit today doesn't look like much, but you leave it there, keep adding to it, and over time it grows into a fortune. Well, your habits work the exact same way, whether they're good habits or bad ones.
But, and this is so important, this is where most of us quit. We expect our progress to be a straight line, right? We put in the work so we should see the results immediately. But that's not how it works. In reality, there's this lag. You're doing all the right things, making those 1% improvements, but for a while, nothing seems to happen. This gap is what Clear calls the valley of disappointment. You have to survive this plateau of, well, latent potential before you finally break through and see those amazing results.
So, if we know we've got to be patient and push through that valley, what's the best way to set ourselves up for success? Well, that leads us to the first really big mindset shift in the book, focusing on systems over goals.
Man, this is such a powerful idea. Think about it. In any big competition, like the Super Bowl or the World Cup, both teams have the exact same goal, to win. So the goal itself isn't what makes the difference. The real difference is their system. It's the daily drills, the practice routines, the whole process they follow day in and day out. The goal just points you in the right direction. It's the system that gets you there.
And that idea of systems leads us to what is, for my money, the most powerful concept in the entire book. It's this idea that if you want change that actually sticks, you have to go deeper than just your actions. It's not about what you do, it's about who you believe you are.
So Clear lays this out as 3 layers, kind of like an onion. On the outside, you've got your outcomes. That's the what, like losing 20 pounds or writing a book. Then a layer deeper, you have your process. That's the how, like your diet and exercise plan. But the real change, the stuff that lasts, happens at the very center, your identity. That's the who. It's all about what you believe about yourself.
Okay, let's make that a little more real. An outcome-based goal sounds like this. The goal is to run a marathon. So what happens after you cross the finish line? Your motivation pretty much vanishes, right? But an identity-based goal sounds like the goal is to become a runner. See the difference? A runner just runs. It's who they are. They're not just training for one event. The habit is now part of their identity, so it sticks.
So how do you actually do this? It's surprisingly simple, just 2 steps. First step, decide what type of person you want to be. And I don't mean what you want to achieve. I mean who you want to become. A reader? A healthy person? An artist? Step 2, prove it to yourself with small wins. Every single time you read a page or choose a healthy snack, you're casting a vote for that new identity. You're literally building evidence that this is who you are now.
All right, so we've got the big picture down, right? We've talked about these tiny 1% improvements, why systems beat goals, and how it all comes back to your identity. Now, let's get to the how-to. This is the practical toolkit, and it's built around something called the 4 laws of behavior change.
This is really the heart of the book's practical advice. It's a super simple framework. To build a good habit, you just have to follow these 4 laws. Number 1, make it obvious. Number 2, make it attractive. 3, make it easy. And 4, make it satisfying. It's that straightforward. Now let's dig into what each of those actually means. So for that first law, make it obvious, there's this brilliant technique called habit stacking. The idea is instead of trying to just remember to do a new habit, you piggyback it onto something you already do without even thinking.
And the formula for it is super simple. It's just, after I do my current habit, I will do my new habit. So that could be, after I brush my teeth, I will floss 1 tooth. Or, after I get into bed, I will read 1 page of a book. You're basically using the momentum you already have to launch you into the next thing.
And what's really cool is if you want to break a bad habit, you don't need a new system. You just flip these 4 laws on their head. You make the bad habit invisible, unattractive, difficult, and unsatisfying. So let's say you want to stop snacking on junk food. Don't buy it. If it's not in your house, the cue is invisible. You've made the habit way more difficult to do.
Now for law number 3, make it easy. My favorite tool is the 2-minute rule. This thing is pure genius. Whatever new habit you want to start, you shrink it down until it takes less than 2 minutes to do. So run 3 miles becomes put on my running shoes. Write a chapter becomes open my laptop and write 1 sentence. The point isn't to get the results right away. The point is to master the art of just showing up. Starting is the hardest part, and this makes starting ridiculously easy.
Okay, so you've got your system. You're using the 4 laws. Things are going great. But what happens a month from now? 6 months from now? How do you keep going when that first burst of motivation fades away? This is where something called the Goldilocks rule is key. Our brains love a good challenge, but it has to be the right kind of challenge. We hit peak motivation when we're working on something that's not too hard and not too easy, but just right, you know? If it's too easy, we get bored. If it's too hard, we get frustrated and quit. The secret to long-term motivation is to find that sweet spot and stay there, always pushing yourself just a tiny bit.
And this leads to a really important realization. The biggest threat to your success isn't failure. It's boredom. Seriously. Anyone can work hard when they feel motivated, but the people who really succeed, the professionals, they're the ones who show up even on the days they're bored and don't feel like it. They've learned to fall in love with the process of doing the work, not just dreaming about the result.
So, how do you fight that boredom? Here are 2 super simple rules. First, track your habits. Just get a calendar and put an X on every day you do your habit. It's weirdly satisfying, and you build a chain you won't want to break. Second, and this one is huge, follow the never miss twice rule. Look, you're going to mess up. You'll miss a day. It's fine. The key is to never, ever let it be 2 days in a row. Missing once is just a mistake. Missing twice is the beginning of a new bad habit. So just get right back on track the very next day.
And that really brings everything together, doesn't it? Success isn't some destination you arrive at. There's no finish line you cross, and then you're just done. It's a system you commit to. It's an endless process of getting just a little bit better, of refining your habits over and over again.
So I'll leave you with this one question. Thinking about everything we just talked about, that compounding effect, changing your identity, all of it. What's one tiny atomic change you can make today? What's your 1% improvement that's going to get you started?